Are you aware of the new budget Rishi Sunak announced earlier in the week? Wondering how it may affect you? Well, in today's video, I'm going to go over the changes he's made and the impact it may have on you. Stay tuned. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Stan, and before we get going, I just want to say a massive thank you for all of you out there for supporting me recently. We've just hit over 300 subscribers, so thank you. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. If you're new around here, do consider subscribing so you never miss an upload. But let's get into the video. So today we're going to be talking about the new budget for 2021 and for the future really, because some of the changes. So as you may be aware, earlier in the week, Rishi Sunak has announced his budget, some of the changes, and that's what we're going to be talking about, how it may affect you now and how it may affect you in the future. So I mean, there's been a 10% decline in the economy over the last year, as you can see by this article, and basically Rishi has made some changes to kind of get the economy back on track. I mean, it's going to take years, it's not going to be done overnight, but that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's get into it. So, as well as the furlough scheme being extended until September, which you may already know, there's been a number of changes and we'll discuss 8 of them and how they may impact you. So the very first one is that the national living wage will actually increase. So you may hear the word sort of national living wage and national minimum wage, and all that means is the national living wage is for over 25s, but that is actually going down to over 23s. So basically that's the minimum wage, essentially the national living wage, what you need to survive. So the government kind of looks at the older people, so 23 plus now as of April, and what they need at least to survive or to live. Essentially it's in the name. And national minimum wage is what, say if you're in school, so if you're, I don't know, say 18, what you could be earning. So that would be a lot less, because essentially if you think about it, they think you're in school or living with parents, whatever, so it's a bit less. But basically for a lot of people, so the national living wage will increase, and I've put a table on the screen now. So it was £8.72 before for the over 25s, but now it's going up to £8.91 as of April, and that will be for people that'll be for people who are 23 and over. So basically, without complicating it too much, if you're 23 and over, you will have to be earning £8.91 at least. It is a bit more in London because London's a bit more expensive, but basically that means over 2 million people will get a pay rise, which is great. I don't think that's too bad, and hopefully this wage will just keep increasing year on year. The second one is that the emphasis is very much on the vaccine before jobs. So there's £1.65 billion being put into the scheme to roll out the vaccines for everyone, because that means if you basically vaccinate everyone, it means more jobs are protected, which means more people's incomes is maintained or secured, which means people can sort of get back to normal, they can pay their bills, and the kind of economy recovers slowly but surely. So it almost kind of links back from the point of furlough. So they want you to stay at home. I mean, if you are on furlough until September, get your vaccine, and then when you do go back to work, you're kind of fully prepared, fully ready for it in terms of everything, your health and everything else. So yeah, basically the point is vaccines first and then jobs. So people's health first and then jobs, which is quite nice, but at the same time you could look at it and be like, all the vaccines because you want jobs to recover. But yeah, we won't really get into that too much. But yeah, vaccines first, 1.65 billion, and then jobs later. The third one is universal credit. So there's been a lot of speculation about how there's been a top up throughout the pandemic, and a lot of people have applied for it. And the speculation was, well, whether there was a £20 per week top up, and whether this will continue. I can confirm, because Rishi confirmed, that this will continue for the next 6 months, helping people basically get by, as there's been, I think, a massive, almost like a lifesaver for a lot of people who have been unable to work or money has been tight. So fear not, this will continue. So yeah, I mean, if you are struggling, do consider sort of reaching out for help. So whether it's any benefits or universal credit, I mean, if you don't ask, you don't get, so you never know. I mean, if you are struggling, just do it, because at the end of the day, you kind of want to do what's best for you. But yeah, this £20 top up a week will continue. The fourth one, which I think is a major one, is that in the future, a lot of people might be affected by their tax bill. So even though the government confirmed there will be no increase to income tax VAT or national insurance. There will be some changes in the next few years, and here's how. So for a bit of background, at present, people start to pay 20% income tax when they earn £12,500. For the upper brackets, for the 40% income tax, it's when you start earning £50,000. This is actually increasing to, and I'll put it on the screen, to 12,570 and 50,270 in April. However, that will then be frozen for 5 years. So what that means is the threshold will stay put for the next 5 years. So what that means is that everyone who basically gets a pay rise between, well, April 2021 and April 2026 is likely to pay more tax, because say if you're earning right now, say, I don't know, £10,000 a year, just for example, if you're working part-time or whatever, you're earning £10,000 a year. In the next few years, say as the national minimum wage goes up, or the national living wage goes up, or you just get a pay rise, you get promoted, whatever, you then start earning, say, £13,000, you then suddenly reach that tax bracket, so you then start paying tax. I mean, it won't be a lot, but still you will be paying tax. Whereas normally the threshold will kind of increase year on year with kind of inflation and everything else. So it is a bit of a sneaky, I think a lot of people are calling it the stealth tax, because a lot of people think, oh, it won't really affect me, but actually it will. It might not affect you now, but in the future it will, because I don't know, if you're, again, like I said, if you're, I don't know, getting a pay rise, whether it's to do with your job performance, or whether it's basically the whole company, everyone in the company will basically be paying more, you might sneak into that bracket and start paying tax, which isn't ideal. And I think over 1.3 million people will be affected by this. But the whole point of it is that it will raise, by 2026, it will raise over £20 billion, or in estimates anyway. So it's kind of that weird trade-off where, because of the pandemic, everyone, or all of us who pay tax, will have to pay for it for decades to come. So it does suck a little bit, but we can't do much about it. So just do bear in mind, the tax bracket is being frozen, so you might pay more tax in the future. Sorry. The next one, and number 5, is to do with deposits and mortgages. So there's a new kind of a government guarantee coming in next month, and it'll run until December 2022 for houses up to £600,000. But what does this guarantee actually mean? So a lot of the time, you kind of need like a 10, 15, 20% deposit for a house, and lenders will be happy to kind of lend to you in terms of mortgage. But if you have a 5%, less people will be kind of inclined to give you money, because they're not sure if they trust you, or will you be able to keep up repayments. But now this guarantee basically means that if you're, say, if me or you is unable to, say, keep up repayments and your house gets repossessed and they sell the house and they can't sort of recoup all the money, the government will kind of chip in and help the lenders out. So you're not really affected, but it gives the lenders almost like a safety net. It's like a guarantee to them, because it means, okay, you're less of a risk now, because there's a person who's guaranteeing some money back to us if things go wrong. So in theory, it should help you get a better mortgage with more people, more options. And yeah, I mean, it's running for, what was that, 2 years? So do make the most of it. If you are looking to buy a house within sort of the next year or two, just bear that in mind. There is that guarantee. If you only have a 5% deposit, you should be able to get more options and get a better mortgage. On that note, however, there wasn't any changes to sort of people who rent. So a lot of people are struggling with rent because if they're not working or they're on furlough, they're only getting, say, 80%. So you are struggling with rent, and I think that's the one part of the budget that they were missing. So they're very much helping out people who want to buy a house, but people who are renting, they've been kind of left behind. So I apologise on behalf of Rishi. However, on that note, going back to buying a house, number 6 is to do with the stamp duty holiday extension. So at the moment, you don't have to pay any stamp duty tax on the first £500,000 of a property purchase. And this is being extended until the end of June in England and Northern Ireland. Is then being extended to September for the first 250,000, and then it'll go back to the normal 125,000 as the start of October. This is also being extended from now till the end of June in Wales. So again, you won't have to pay any stamp duty tax until the end of June in Wales. So yeah, if you are thinking of buying a house, it gives you that extra bit of leeway, because then you pay less fees when you're buying a house, so something to consider, because I know a lot of people were rushing to buy a house before the stamp duty holiday finishes, kind of end of the month or start of April. So you've got a bit more time, so don't rush it, and yeah, get yourself a house. Easy as that. Number 7 is that wine and beer duties will stay the same, or will be frozen. So what that means is any duties on alcohol will be frozen for the 2nd year in a row. These were earmarked to rise, so basically prices and the tax was going to basically rise. But fear not, that is not happening anymore. So just in time for, well, it's perfect timing for lockdown when that gets lifted, and for the Euros that will happen in the summer. So football, beer gardens, happy days. I might indulge in some myself, but we shall see. So yeah, I think that's quite nice, because a lot of people kind of want that that social life again when they start going back to the pubs, restaurants, seeing people, and they don't have to pay anymore. So happy days, and hopefully that continues. Number 8 is that the cost of petrol duties will also be unchanged. So this has been frozen for the last decade, and it's set to be frozen for another year at least, which is great, because when you think about it, I think it's like 60% of petrol, 60% of the price of petrol that you pay is actually tax, but that's being kept the same, so no major price hikes, which is great. Again, if you drive, that's set to stay the same, so happy days. So there you are, guys. Those are some of the ways that the budget may or may not affect you. I'll kind of put it all in the description as well, kind of broken it down if you want to reread it, and I'll put a link of where I got the information from. It's kind of, it's all over the news at the same time, so have a read. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comments down below. And like I said, if you do like the video, do consider liking. Again, give me a comment, tell me what you think, and do consider subscribing. I do appreciate you being here, and thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned to the next video, but as always, thank you very much for watching, and save money so that one day the money can save you. I'll see you in the next video.